Okay, we are back. Let me know if you can hear me. So let's just get started. Okay, hope everything is. Yeah, the last night I had a not really happy with how it turns out because I was skimping on the value study. So I just did a quick value study on this one. And it just turns out pretty good. So I just realized yesterday I didn't have a really proper planning for that. So never really good if we skimp on that. And then I'm gonna try to work on this one in tandem. So also did a small value study for that. So we'll see how it turned out. Hopefully better than yesterday. And I think yesterday is kind of late. I was a bit tired. And it's one of the few times I'm going to do a live stream during daytime, so all my kids are awake, so don't be surprised if somebody barge in and making noises, but we'll see how it turns out. And yeah, so again, I'll just start with the daytime one. Same thing, I'll try to wet the paper again. Sponge. So I'll leave a little bit of dry area here because I actually want a clean cut for this. Actually not here where the white of the paper is, and maybe down here. And I want some dry areas here. Rest of the stuff just kind of wet it randomly. Alright. I'm not gonna wet as much as yesterday. I think yesterday I go a little bit overboard. Okay, so let me pre-mix a little bit of colors here. So the value study helped so much. In terms of the planning, I think I had a good plan when I was thinking, looking at the photo. Like when I look at the photo, I think, oh, okay, there can be a good painting out of it, but I didn't really have a plan. I just think that there's gonna be a good painting out of it, and I just go for it, and then it doesn't turn out that well. Yeah. And then I think just the way I try to approach this is also a little bit messy. Okay, so I'll still mix a little bit of the warm colors, but I'll try to make it a little bit less heavy-handed, so a lot more water. Just need a little bit of warmth here, so maybe something like this. Yeah, I think that will do. And not everywhere, just a couple areas. Hi dear Bruce. So let's hope I have a better outcome today. Alright, couple. Okay, so some clean water. I'm just softening some of these edges. They don't need to be hard. So yeah, just a little bit of the warmth here. But this time I am going to keep a little bit of white there. Okay. And yeah, I think I will just start with the sky. Okay, so this needs to be a little bit more intense. I'm gonna add a little bit of ultramarine blue, but still mostly cobalt blue. So what I didn't plan for is that the sky value and the shadow of the building value is actually quite close. That's something that I didn't really plan for. Hope you have a good Sunday so far. Okay, so the roof of the windmill, I can just paint it over. It's going to be darker anyways, so that will be fine. And as we come down, I'll add a little bit of alizarin, just a little bit, and a little bit lighter too. Just now, this I want to keep a little bit of the hard edge, so I'm just going to go down like that. There's some umbrella here, so I'm gonna try to be careful, paint around them. That's the tip of my giant brush here. See if I can pull that off. Okay, I think that's good. I watched it this morning. Is that Javu? What do you mean? Like the location? Hi Karen, good to see you. Yeah, it's very rare that I do a live stream in the daytime. Actually, I can just bring this value in, actually. Don't need to be afraid of that. It will bleed a little bit, which is fine. And, you know, this is something that I actually wanted to do. And, alright, so we got a nice clean wash for the sky. And again, I like the ocean line with a little bit of blur. This is cerulean blue from Mission. It's a very, very beautiful blue. Very intense though. But I think it's a good time for us to use that. The ocean value is actually quite dark, considering this against the white building and stuff. And my paper is probably still a little bit damp, so I am going to mix a little bit heavier paint, a little bit more solid. Okay. A little bit too saturated. I'm just gonna grab a little bit of color here. Okay. Again, I'm gonna try to paint that while it is still a little bit damp up there. Okay. So just a couple stuff here, and you know, I'm not gonna care too much for it. I'm just going to paint it down, and careful with the building. I will carefully paint around it. Careful, but not too careful. If you know what I mean here. So I want a little bit cut out, but at the same time, I don't want to make it so careful that it's gonna sacrifice the clean wash. Okay. Okay. I like it. I already like it better than my previous attempt. I love that blue. The cerulean blue from Mission Go is a thing of beauty. Very, very intense, but it's just beautiful. Okay, it's a little bit too much bead here. I'm just gonna pick it up. And I think later on, I'm just gonna paint the shadow on the second wash. I'll just leave it for now. Hi, Alessio. All right, so while this is dry, I can work on the other one. So let's switch out, and just gonna wipe this clean, so I can start with a cleaner color. A little bit blue left over there is fine. Okay, now I will wet my sponge and wet some part of the paper too. So looking at the reference, and again, I have a tiny value study here. Okay, so the sky is actually darker than all of the buildings, and there's not a lot of highlight in this one because it's it's kind of post sunset. The sun is setting, so all of the light in the scene is the skylight, is the ambient light. Hi from Waterloo, Canada. I'm actually going to Vancouver next month. Pretty exciting, even though I've been there so many times. It's so close from Seattle. Okay, so this one, so this one I'm gonna try a little bit different approach here. I'm going to try to paint the building first. Okay, saying that makes you think that I'm gonna paint all the details. So no, I'm just gonna paint like initial tone of the building. And I'll deal with the sky later and maybe on the second wash. Okay, so the whole tone of this paint is a lot warmer because it's sunset. So it's a lot warmer. So I'm going to still, there's some warmth, some yellow in it on the building, so I'm just add a little bit more orange color, so the color tone shift dramatically from the daytime. Okay, a little bit more yellow here. Still, this is the first wash, and let's try to keep it a little bit more transparent. Yesterday I overcompensate a little bit too much, and I'm gonna add a little bit alizarin, a little bit carmine actually. I want that little purple looking color. Yeah, a little bit of pink and purple looking here. Yeah, so just the building. What's that? Shift camera, close-up camera. Yeah, I like that subtle pink. There we go. It's a little bit pink, a little bit warm-ish. And you have nothing to go against, like the sky right now. I haven't do a paint on it. I haven't go do a wash on it, so the building might look pretty dark right now. But what I'm betting on is once I have the second wash in, it's going to look a lot lighter. So down here, I'm just going to paint some colors. Mostly pretty cool because it's in the shadow. I'm going to keep both of this painting quite loose. Okay, a little bit more pink here. It's a very romantic color, actually, in this specific time of day and in a glimpse. So it's kind of nice. I can try to capture that in my painting. You must upload this video, please. Hi, Barbara. Thank you for always leaving some kind word, Barbara. I really appreciate that. So I will try. This is actually going to be part of the next video. I'm talking about color specifically. And if you were here last night, seeing my pathetic attempt, you're gonna know. Like, the purpose is just to show different, set of colors, right? So if you look at this too, the color looks very different. So, all right. So while it is still wet, I don't know if I still want to add anything. Probably not. I'm probably just gonna keep it the way it is. I'll wait for it to dry to do the sky. The sky color looks slightly complementary. You mean the sunset one or the daytime one? So, hi. Okay. I'm waiting for the painting to dry, so I'm just gonna talk a little bit. I need to wait for this to dry for me to do the color, for me to do the sky. The sky for this one, I want to do like a cutout. So I want to do some clean separation between the buildings and the sky, which is something that I didn't do yesterday. And I think for this one, I already did the sky. I like how this turned out. As you can see, it lightens up quite a bit. So I can start working on this pretty soon. So I can do, the next wash, I'm just going to do the shadows. I'm gonna try to connect all of the shadow shape and use my value study as a guide, and and go, and continue that. Okay, I'm gonna hide my stupid face. Yeah, it's a do-over. Okay. So let me see. But I'm doing two paintings at once. Sunset look a bit orangey on the top. So this is post sunset, so there's a little bit more. It's a little bit more towards pink than orange. Still a little bit of orange on top though, because I think this is the time that sun is completely under the horizon, but it's not so far down that the light is completely gone, so you still see a lot of light in the sky. Okay, anyways, let's start with the second wash here. Okay, so for the second wash, I'll start to pre-mix a little bit of the color here. I don't know if you can hear my kid. He's one of them playing inside. Hopefully not. I'm having a lavalier mic. Hopefully that'll block out most of the noise. Okay, so I need a lot of mixture for this one. Some cerulean. Yeah, yesterday I think I used too much cerulean for the sky, so it looks a little bit too granular. Hi Vicky from Indiana. Good to see you. Okay, some of the area is a little bit more pink, so just mix a little bit of that on the side. Okay, alright, let's do a test here. Okay, maybe a little bit warmer. Okay, so Again, I'm gonna try to be as loose as possible. I'll ignore the roof for now. That's going to be our third wash, which is a really dark value here. There we go. So try to cut around the window a little bit. Oh, definitely, but which is the problem because they're so pretty, and as you can see, it's so pretty, and the architectural stuff is so complicated. So I try to pick out something kind of simple, and for the purpose of my video, I want the same area with two different time of day lighting. So I'm just gonna soften this a little bit with a nice damp brush. Yeah, my kids are starting to go crazy. They're watching TV, which is the only time they can stay really quiet is TV time, which is not a good thing, but you know, what can you do? All right. So I'm just gonna cover this. I think I wanted to make it. So this is the shadow area, but even though this is in the shadow, right, this being the sunlight, this being the shadow part, even though this is in the shadow, it is still very, very bright for two reasons. First, sky still have light, there's skylight. So that's why most of the sky is blue. That's why most of the shadow is a really cool value. But the other thing is that these are all white buildings, and white building bounce a lot of light. So whenever you have a bunch of white buildings and stuff, there's going to be a lot of bounce light. It's kind of like reflectors when you are taking photos. Okay. Okay, some more. So I'll continue this down here, and I need to squeak my eyes a little bit. So much detail. Again, I'm not gonna fall into the trap of trying to paint all that. I'll cut around this dome looking building here. Hi Mia from Germany. Hi. It's so cool. Got people all around the world. The power of YouTube. Okay. This is somewhat in shadow too. It's a little bit of line. I'm just gonna very roughly paint over that. This needs to be lightened up. Okay, and a little separation in between, and then I'm going to continue this shadow shape. Okay, carefully cut above that. Yeah, carefully cut above that. These two lines are pretty important. There's some buildings on the side. Doesn't matter that much here. Something down here. Okay. And then I'll bring that in this face, the building here. Oops. I need to blot this out. There should be light here. Okay. So while it is still wet, you can just use a paper towel, press it, and get that out. My kids are going crazy inside. This is why most of the time I try to paint when when it's nighttime, when everybody's asleep, so I can work quietly and peacefully. But we got some dinner planned today, so I'm trying to do this, finish this up this afternoon if at all possible. So shadow cutting down here. Okay. Still, this is a very complicated scenery. I like a bit of challenge though. Okay, some stair, and I'm just going to fade this off down here. But I have to admit, this already turned out better than yesterday. Like I like this better than the one I did yesterday already. So I'm happy about that. Okay, but what essentially I'm doing is just starting to my second value, connect all of the shapes. Some of it connected, a little bit of separation here and there. But if you kind of squint your eyes, you can already start to see the structure of the things. And a couple places I might miss a little bit, but I think this will do for now. Painting is much easier than coloring. I'm not quite sure what I mean, but yeah, I suppose. Okay, so the roof, I will wait for a little bit. I mean, this I can paint it in now, but just give it a little bit of pink, purple color here. Let's give it a little bit of different color variations while I still can. Okay, I think I need to stop doing that. So getting a little bit too dry, so let's not risk it. Clean wash is a little bit more important. Okay, so I will start on my second watch. Yeah, definitely. I did try it a little bit, but I try to develop the eye. I try to develop it, to really able to do that myself. Okay, so let's start our second wash here. Now, on the contrary, we're gonna start our second wash with doing the sky. And this is completely dry, so this should be fine to work on. So same thing as mix our sky color. And alizarin crimson, I add a little bit of orange to get that nice warm pink-ish color. What was it called? Okay. A little bit of carmine too, yeah. Just try to mix it a little bit more saturated. Okay, and then coming down, we got our blue here. So I'm testing the color on my palette before I start to paint on it. And when we are all the way down to the ocean, I'm almost out of cobalt blue. Might need to squeeze some new one in later. Okay. So this cannot be as warm as the one in the daytime, so okay, this should do. All right. Okay, so let's start our sky. Oh, look at that color. Nice and pretty. Okay, so this is why I paint tilted. Okay, so when I'm doing washes like these, it's a little bit easier. Again, I can just paint through the roof. The roof is gonna be a lot darker, so it doesn't really matter. I start to grab a little bit of more blue down here. Now here is the part I need to be a little bit more careful. Don't want to cut into the building. Okay, so some more blue here. See, I haven't dipped my brush back into the bucket. Okay, you don't want to do that. Okay, you don't want to make this really watery. This wash is actually darker. Should be a little bit darker than the building. The building is the lightest part of this painting, not the sky. Okay, a little bit of water, so I'm gonna have some more mixture here. Okay. Okay. I can just paint those in. That's the roof of another building, so which is fine. I'll try to cut. Try to be careful not to get into the building. Here. Okay. Now. Okay, now down here we got our ocean here. Let me switch to a slightly smaller brush for the job. Okay, so again, a little bit more opaque. I will add a touch of that. Okay, a little bit of alizarin crimson. We want to kind of keep that purple-ish look. Okay, a little bit more intense here. Okay. How's that look? Okay. Yeah, it's kind of hard to judge the color, but I'm just gonna go for it. Let me add a little bit of turquoise. It's a little bit too cold. But again, value is still more important. Clean wash is still more important. Don't bog down on color too much. If you can get something somewhat close, that's fine. If not, don't stress on it. A little bit of sparkle is fine, okay? It is ocean. There's a little bit of reflection, a little bit of shine, sparkle, whatever, a little bit of texture, tiny little bit of wave, ripples, whatever. So just, you know, leave a little bit of white. It's fine. There we go. Okay. All right. So we got our sky here. I do think I can start to give a little bit definition here, but honestly, there's not a lot to do here. Okay, if you look at my value study for this one, there's almost no details in the buildings here, which is the point. There's not a lot of definition here because the lack of direct lighting. So we can still add a little bit of random details here and there, but mostly just to a little bit warmer. Okay. Some windows. Some openings of the windows. Very, very loose. Okay. And some of the stuff, the even darker stuff, I'm going to paint those once this is dry. When I paint the roof and stuff in, those are going to be a lot more, a lot darker, a lot more intense. Okay, so I'm gonna paint this balcony, whatever that is, porch. Okay. Okay, careful with the stair. Paint around that, and there's a little bit of opening here. Something. And there's still some staircase. I'm just gonna loosely indicate those. I'm not gonna count how many stairs that is. Use a clean water to soften some of these. They don't need to be so defined. Okay. Everybody really quiet now. Let's just hope I'm not boring you. Okay, here's the window. I didn't really do a big drawing on that. So maybe it's another door here. Okay, rest of it I'm just going to go very loose on that. Guys doing okay? People falling asleep or I'm just busy watching? Okay. Stuff down here. Alright. Giving some colors and stuff. And I think most of it, again, I'm not gonna do too much over here. Soften some edges here. There's still very subtle value difference when it comes to the side of the painting and the top, but it's very, very minimum. So that's why I'm not inclined to do so much detail. It's just really not necessary. There's a little bit of blue up here, and the rest of it is just and if you have the edge kind of fuzzing to each other, that's just fine. Okay. Okay, there's a little bit of line that bugs me. I might use gouache or whatever. Okay, So let's back to this one. Okay, I will just wipe the side clean so I can start to paint. Okay, so let's start to mix the color for the roof. Add a little bit of blue in it just to neutralize that a little. I mean, remember, there's still skylight, so even the local color of the roof is sort of this hay brownish looking color. There's still going to be a little bit of blue in it because of the skylight, so it's a little bit cooler. So if you compare the two, this is going to be a lot warmer versus this is going to be cooler. And for this wash, I probably don't need to pre-mix too much color. Okay, so here, let's just get started. See, my brush might be a little bit too big or not. I tend to try to use a little bit bigger brush to avoid me getting too much into the detail. Okay, there's so much detail in the photo, even the roof. I start to see like individual haze and straw. Let's not fall into the trap of trying to paint them all. Okay, there we go. That, and then I can do a little bit of wet on wet if we want to. So a little bit darker this side, some drier mixture, and just use the tip on my brush and to get a little bit of stuff on the bottom. Okay, just a little bit of texture, don't overdo it. Okay, that looks fine. Let me grab a smaller brush and add a little bit of tiny shadows that's casting by the straw. Okay, let's get some real dark in here inside of the window here. Here's one. Here's two. Okay, down here there's like a window or whatever that is closed. There's a couple stuff in it. I'm just gonna fake some details here. And the doorway into the windmill. Okay. See, once that's in, start to look a lot more complete. Okay, let's paint the windmill. Again, let's not get too much detail involved, but this is a lot redder. Kind of like the wooden rusty color, whatever that is. And, oops. A little bit too watery. Can add some red to it. My kids are going crazy inside. I apologize. It's funny because like both my wife and I, we're pretty quiet like in person, but our kids are just noisy and crazy. I don't get where they got it from, or they're just being kids. But you know what? That's fine. Like I think I'd rather them being noisy and happy than always quiet, not telling me what's going on. It's just kind of funny though. At least that aspect they don't really feel like us. Okay. I'll try to be steady when I'm doing this kind of calligraphy. So I know like some part of these is actually lighter than the sky, but it will be really hard for me to just, unless I'm using masking fluid and I don't have it. So I'm just gonna make it all darker. And I'll add some more shadow later. Actually, I think I can just add them now since the paints are relatively dry. Good to hear, happy kids. Okay, that's good. Okay, so some shadows underneath here. And a little bit of, a couple areas we give it a little bit of the shadow just to make it feel there's some lighting going on here. Okay, just like a chair or whatever. Alright. Let's come back to it. Okay, it already started to look a little bit more complete. Okay, just something I'm gonna do. I'm gonna paint a little bit. I didn't do it in the first wash. I'm gonna paint a little bit of red here. Just a tiny little bit. I'm gonna soften that. So the reason I'm doing that is there's some bounce light from that windmill bounce light and get some of the warmth here. So that just give us a little bit more interesting things to look at. Okay, so now I'm gonna wrap this painting up very quickly. Some dark in here. Okay, maybe a little bit cooler. See, like a majority of the color I mix are sort of the kind of muddy colors, so-called. But it's a lot of time, which is something I'm gonna talk about in my next video. Like, it's not really the problem of the color that people are having, is the way they apply the paint. It's starting to get like, bad edges, and sometimes there's not enough color, so the color is starting to become too transparent on top of each other. And when that happens, you're starting to get dirty washes, and that's going to look dirty no matter what color you use. So a lot of time it's not really because of the specific color you mix. It's just most of the time it's the way people apply the. I definitely got some student having that issue some students, their washes are so transparent and their mixtures are so watery and kind of washes stuff off here and there, and that creates a problem. So make sure you have enough paint when you mix, and when you are trying to paint the washes, make sure you do that. Make sure you do that cleanly here. Okay, there's a little bit of cast shadow here. Okay, this, oops. This is a little bit darker here. Not by much though. Okay, there's some. Good morning, Pally. Good to see you. It's been a while. Okay, so just there's some cast shadow from the plant here. I'm just going to just loosely indicate those. Okay, I'm almost out of cobalt blue, but I kind of don't want to squeeze new one in right now. I just kind of want to paint. So I am. This shadow is a little bit darker. Okay. No, oops, I forgot the. Forgot this roof. Okay, I think my kids are in trouble. My wife is calling their name. But I'm painting, I'm just not gonna go in and intervene. Probably, I don't know. I remix the color when I'm doing different painting just to. Not quite sure. Some pink color here. Okay. I think I am at the end of the left painting. I'm just looking at the painting, like the photo. Where else do I need to add a little bit more, like darker dark? So there's a little tiny window here. Just gonna add that. Something here. Okay, there's a dark window here. Again, I want to keep this painting loose. I'm not gonna paint too much detail. Okay, and here's some cast shadow here onto the stair. Okay. Some stuff on the side, giving it a little bit of colors here. I'm just picking up, I'm just starting to pick up some leftover colors for use, and these are all just random shape and stuff. Oh, actually, I want to keep this light. Oops. Okay. That does it. Stuff here, and then things on the side here, some stuff inside that arch. Okay. There's a little bit of red here. I'm just gonna add that in just for a little visual interest. And some orange here. Oh, some colors here. Okay, for that, I think this is it. Okay, much happier with this one than the one I did last night. The value study helped tremendously. Kind of helped me to keep me on track of what I should be doing. And I'll add a little bit of gouache for little things that poking out. No, I wish. I haven't visited Greece. I wanted to. One place my wife really want to go. So hopefully, sorry, hopefully soon, when our kids is a little bit more travel friendly, then I'll start to bring them all over the world and stuff. And okay. Alright, I think that's good for what it is. Let's switch to the other one. Same thing, we're going to mix our color for the roof. Now this one, I need to make sure the roof is a lot warmer because the skylight is no longer blue. It's actually kind of purplish, pinkish color. So let's see how this works. I need to be a little bit darker too. You're seeing two hands, it's a little bit weird. Okay, and actually quite dark too, because there's no more sunlight. Okay, let's see if this works. This thing might be a little bit too wet. I'll just add a little bit more paint. Smaller brush just to a little bit easier to control. There we go. A little bit ultramarine, make it a little bit darker. Okay. Okay, so a little bit of hay poking out, just something like that. Yeah. Okay, so same thing, you can do a little bit of wet on wet, adding a little bit more. I think I'll add a little bit dark down here, just to get a little bit more volume. Alright, now time to just gonna continue on to the windmill. Sorry, this camera view is a little bit slanted, so this tower appears to be skinnier than what it really is. Okay, a little bit redder. Okay, so same thing, I'm gonna try to just kind of scribble those in. I'm gonna add some neutral tint to make it darker. Neutral tint, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue. Yeah, so it's really important I get this nice and dark, you know. Okay. Do a little bit of scribble. Okay, use the tip of your brush. Very lightly scribble those in. Okay. Set the top point and just try to connect that. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight, okay? Don't kill yourself over it, not worth it. Okay. Okay, the painting color is not as saturated as the photo. Might be the camera though. It's somewhat close in my. It is somewhat close in the real scene. Okay. Okay, so that. Now I'm going to add a little bit of value here. Greeting from Indonesia. Hi. Greetings. Okay. Not too dark though. Like the ocean should be darker than this. Okay, just a nice dry damp brush and soften this. Like all I really want to do is to give it a little bit of value variation. Very tiny little bit though. Like not much at all. Okay. So still very faint. Okay, now time to add some dark detail. This one again very loose. Like the lighting is almost flat looking if you okay. I do want to make sure that those dark are really dark because there's not a lot of ambient light to light those interior. So make sure those are nice and dark. Why did I left this white? I don't know. Okay. Okay. Fill this part in. Some darker stuff underneath. Painting nice and loose, your results are beautiful. Thank you. You should see my first result, which I sorted away. Wasn't that good. I mean, this one I'm not gonna call it as like super good or anything, but it's definitely a lot better. I'm happier with this. Again, I think not afraid to fail is fine. Not afraid to fail is a very important thing to have when it comes to painting watercolor, because if you're afraid to fail, then watercolor is not a medium for you, because it's very hard to fix anything. It's very hard to change once it is dry, and you can't really cover it. You can cover the lighter stuff with darker paint, but the rest of it, a lot of time, just have to live with it. And I still fail. Just like yesterday, I failed my, I consider that a failed attempt. But then I kind of picked myself back up, do a value study, had a better plan, and I tried again. And this one seems to be a little bit better. Okay. Paint some of this dark again, give it a little bit better definition. Okay, a little bit. So the tricky part for this one specifically is the values are so close, so I don't want anything to jump off, like to jump out like very obviously. So like this orange wall is a little bit darker than the building, but it's not so dark. It's not, not this dark, and it's almost not as dark as this. So just paint paint shape and try to match the value as much as possible. And when you try to mix color and you use, sort of starting from the same pile of gray, it gives you a little bit more unified look, so you don't end up with spotty color all over the place, because you are mixing from the same source, same base color. And that's another thing that I'm gonna talk about in the video. Okay. I think for this one, this is pretty much it. I'll give it a little bit dot and stuff here and there, but yeah, I think this one, I definitely don't think I need a lot more to it. Focus is the lighting, so I mean I can try to add a little bit of something here and there, but I don't want to overdo it. They are very beautiful, I agree, and which is why it's hard. Because when they're beautiful, you have a hard time to you have a hard time to do them justice. Okay, but okay, just gonna I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Yeah, I don't need those. Keep them light. Like, yeah, I think I'm at this stage I'm desperately trying to define them, but I really don't think I need to. Yeah, I think I should just like leave most of this alone. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it be. Okay. Okay, so I think I got my two paintings. It's definitely very different. Good lighting study. So obviously the one in the daytime got a lot more definition because there's a direct light on the left, but this one there's no direct light. Like maybe the sun is tiny little bit peeking out here, but mostly it's just the ambient light. So I think this is, this is very, very quiet, very subtle. There's not a lot of lighting going on, and that's part of the reason why I choose this one, because this is so different from this. And erase some of the pencil line. They don't need to be there. So I think it's a fun exercise. And yeah, let me know if you have any question before I sign off. I think this is probably the two that I'm gonna keep for my video. Thank you, Karen. All right. Yeah, quite interesting. Yeah, the value here is so subtle. I don't know. I might need to, I think if I want to improve this one, I might need to darken the sky, but yeah, I don't think I'm gonna touch it. There's just no need to do that anymore. I think for like a little practice painting, I think this is fine. Both of them. So thank you guys so much, and hopefully I will have a new video out the next Wednesday. I'm not quite sure yet. Yeah, I'm gonna talk mostly about color in more detail, and I'll share this process again and in a speed up format. But the point of this too is just to show a warm and cool, color mixing, things like that. And I'm going to again structure it down into a couple points. Okay, thank you guys so much. I'm going to log up now. See you guys later.